Winning resumes don't just happen by chance. They take hard work. Whether you're writing one for the first time or revising yours for the 5th time, resumes take some reflection, several drafts, and they need to be easy to read and in a good format. Remember earlier in this course when you did some thinking about your abilities and skills? That activity will serve you well in the following segments on resumes and interviewing. In this segment, we will compare paper-based resumes with electronic resumes. You'll also learn about the style and types of resumes that work best to showcase your education and your experience.
I think the keys to creating a good resume is not giving too much of yourself right away. You definitely want to be able to pique their interest, but you don't want to give them too much of yourself right away. I like to think in terms of giving them a drink of water without using a fire hose. You definitely want to give them just enough to say, oh, wow, maybe this person has something to offer. You definitely want to give them something that's going to make a decision in terms of bringing you in for a formal resume interview right away, not making a decision on whether they can use you in the organization right away. I think that's the key.
No longer can you make one version of your resume and use it for your entire job search. Also, you don't need to send quantities of resume via snail mail. No. Although there is still a need for paper-based resumes in a job campaign, many companies today want job seekers who send their cover letters and resumes electronically. This is often done through a job search database such as Monster or Career Builder, or even through the company's own web pages. Today, many companies use resume scanning software to evaluate candidates. This type of software program has been used by Fortune 500 as well as smaller companies for some time now. Both electronic and paper-based resumes can be scanned and evaluated by computers alone. Seem a bit futuristic? Welcome to the future. With so many resumes to review and not enough staff members to read them all, companies have turned to resume scanning software. That's right. A resume is scanned by a software program which looks for keywords that are part of the job description. For example, if a firm wanted someone who could design a web page or web pages using Dreamweaver, the scanning software would be programmed to recognize key phrases such as web designer, web developer, Dreamweaver, etc. In order to play the game and get your resume noticed using a system like this, you should prepare scannable resumes that reflect job-specific criteria and related skills. But you should also have a well-written standard resume to cover other situations. Also, as I've pointed out, candidates write scannable resumes with key terms that match the information programmed into the software, getting as many matches or hits as possible in the program. In addition to tracking your resume, these software programs can do much more. Called Applicant Tracking Systems, or ATS, they can manage candidates' applications, resumes, interviews. They can even send correspondence to job seekers. They can also be used later as record tracking systems that maintain employees' human resource records and data. So you see, the job search and recruiting world has definitely gone high-tech. Although we'll spend the majority of our time talking about standard resumes, you can try a quick search of the internet using the terms scannable resume and keyword resume, or even electronic resume, to get lots more information about this type of resume and its specific formatting. So check it out.
Well, there's 3 words that I would use to give advice on your resume. Keywords, keywords, keywords. There's applicant tracking systems that are automated and built with keywords on the back end that if you don't hit those keywords, there's any multitude of variances that are needed there. You're automatically going to go to the denied bin. There's a filter involved that if you don't have the specific keywords they're looking for, you're not going to get a call back. So prior to building your resume, my recommendation is to look at 5 to 10 job postings with a similar job title and identify what job titles or keywords really stand out and that you see a common thread or theme going forward. Once you identify maybe 15, 20 keywords, integrate them into your resume as many times as possible, don't be redundant, but have them integrated into your resume so that the applicant tracking system doesn't automatically deny your resume and put it into the denied bin.
Now that you know about how some of today's electronic resume submissions work, we need to circle back and talk about more traditional resumes, which still are the backbone of job searches today. Let's take a look at some styles and some types of traditional resumes. Resume styles are pretty straightforward. They're what I like to call bells and whistles, or plain vanilla. The style that we just covered is one of these parts too, keyword or scannable. So you want to think about which style is best for you and your situation. As you can see on our table, you should consider having at least a bells and whistles style and a scannable style resume as well. For the purposes of this class, we'll be working on developing or improving your bells and whistles style of resume. Now let's take a look at different types of resumes. But first, let me ask something. What do you use these watches for? That's right, to track time. The first resume we're looking at here also tracks time, the time that you've worked and or gone to school. These are organized according to time or chronology. These types of resumes are called reverse chronological. In this resume, you organize your employment and your educational experiences according to when they happened, placing the most recent first and moving to less current information after that. This is by far the most widely used format because it's easy and it's simple. So a reverse chronological resume would look like this. Notice the prominence of dates and how the writer worked backwards from current to past. While the reverse chronological is one popular format, you have a couple of more options to choose from as well. Let's say you've worked at the same type of job for a number of years, or you have some gaps in your employment, or you really want to promote what you can do over where you did it, or even for how long. Then the functional resume may be for you. Functional resumes organize information according to types of skills or how you can function. This promotes your abilities more than any other type of resume. As you can see in Ryan's resume, since he's a recent grad, he shows his most recent education first. But notice what comes after that, skill sets. To create this functional layout, he reflected on his key skills and then provided examples from his work experience to support those skills. Notice how the reader's attention is focused on the skill area and not on the employment section at the bottom. Also notice that the dates are somewhat varied within the employment section. This is a great resume type to use if you want to focus on your skill sets and minimize dates or other employment information.
The format I have is chronological in terms of the organized style because I'm that kind of person. I'm regimented in a way where you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. You definitely want to have a story. You want to tell a story of where you've been, what you've done. So in terms of my resume style, it's chronological, going back from the service, what I've done in the service leading up to how I eventually arrived and graduated from DeVry University. So I think that's important because the person reading it, you don't want them to jump around. You don't want them to put anything together. You want them to get a real, succinct, and definite story of who you are right away in terms of your qualifications and where you've been and ultimately where you're going.
As you can see, you've quite a few choices in setting up your resume. Will it be bells and whistles, vanilla, reverse chronological, functional? The choice is yours. One more thing about resumes before we get into how to write one. Resume templates. While there are many templates out there, and some may be useful to help you organize your ideas, I don't recommend using them. Some templates restrict what you can include and how much, and others don't always focus on the best information. Unfortunately, many job seekers use templates because they're quick and easy. So thousands, perhaps millions of resumes will virtually all look the same. I see fill-in-the-blank templates from my students and others all the time, and frankly, they look common and quite boring. You're a unique person. Your resume should be unique too. Remember, don't take the easy way out with templates. Winning resumes don't happen by chance or by filling in the blanks on a template. They take hard work. In our next segment, we'll look at the specific parts of the resume and work at creating an outstanding one that can not only give you a clear objective and summary, but helps promote you as a candidate in very specific terms. Stay tuned.